outside and talk to people, because don't worry about getting rejected from a girl or something like that. It's really, people are humans, and everybody can be broken. I just want to say that. Everybody can be broken. No matter how tough somebody's acting, trust me.
Hello everybody, so it's that time of the week again that it's Mystery Monday! So, hello. Today we are talking about Randytaylor69, this really interesting internet figure who got doxxed and whose fans have really helped her live on in the internet world. Now, it's a little bit more complex than that, but I'm just going to kind of go into the initial intro of who is Randytaylor69 and all this stuff. So, Randytaylor69 is a woman named Rosemary Lynn Wolfe, I believe. She started creating content around 2003 and was really known for these, like, kind of really quick videos on her thoughts on certain subjects, like little, like, kind of like almost like a precursor to vlogging where like she would kind of just turn on the camera. It was almost a video diary of sorts. She did stuff on gaming, she did stuff on just kind of what it was like, what she was going through in her everyday life, and this led to quite a bit of internet fame. Now, she had a really big fan base that started to grow when she posted this particular video about how to build a computer. So that was the first video that kind of helped her launch to stardom.
Hi, I'm Rose and I'm going to build a PC. You will need some RAM, a video card, a CPU, a heatsink, a motherboard, a hard drive or two, and a case.
Now, this internet fame for Randytaylor69 kind of led to one particular person, and I'm sure a ton of others, stalking her. Now, she was the victim of stalking, and my special guest, my editor, Rebecca Naff, is going to go into that a little bit later. But, so this led to her eventually being doxxed by her hater. And if you don't know what doxing is, it means that all of your personal information, your family's personal information, like where you live, what your phone numbers are, etc., is released online. And so this caused her to kind of cease activity on all of her accounts around 2013. So, and she hasn't since, like, been on the internet from what everybody has been able to see. She's kind of just ceased all activity on the internet.
How was it? How was it? How was it? Painful, maddening, draining.
And she hasn't really shown up. She hasn't created any new content since 2013 on her YouTube channel, on her live journal, on all of these types of things. Now, my editor and I stumbled upon this video about one particular person. I listed it down in my sources below, who notices that there's a ton of accounts for her. Now, this is where Randytaylor69, it turns into a bit of a mystery, and it's really interesting because there's just a ton of accounts for her. Like
The Rose Archive, a fan-made channel dedicated to archiving all of Rose's like videos, right? So I'm like, who's Rose? You know what I mean? That she has an archive about her. She has a Know Your Meme page. She has this page, VK page, active as well. This was just posted yesterday. Instagram. She has a board, an 8chan board. She has a subreddit. She has a Steam group. All of these people are building for her a Steam group. Rosebud's maps. I actually have not explored that. Continue to external site. Okay, so this is showing where, like, fans of her are all over the world? Okay!
Like, her leave from the internet really led to this kind of martyrdom in which a bunch of people just begin to idolize her, like there's this really strong idol culture created around her. And if you don't know what idol culture is, it's kind of like, it's best explained in the context of Eastern, like kind of like Japan and Korea and East Asian countries, because it's this kind of culture in which there's a dual relationship between the person being idolized and their fan. So there are two separate roles people play. They are either the idol or the fan, and there's there's certain responsibilities regarding that. Like when somebody decides to become a fan, they kind of take on this, oh, I need to support the band, oh, I need to do this and this and this. And now that's common in Western cultures as well, but the difference is that there's a stronger sense of fandom. Like Simon and Martina from Eat Your Kimchi discuss it a little bit, where they know people who are fans of certain K-pop groups and they will buy hundreds and hundreds of CDs of their favorite K-pop group because that's their responsibility as a fan. So it's this separate type of fandom than you see from like somebody who just really likes Supernatural, like, or just like posts little Tumblr things about Supernatural. It's a little different in that regard because there's a different sense of responsibility from it when it kind of goes into that place of taking on a lot more personal responsibility as a fan. It's not a passive fan like we see in a lot of Western cultures where people are a fan of a ton of different things and like they're passive, like they're not passive fans, but like they're fans of a lot of things and they're able to be fans of a lot of things because there's not necessarily a hyper focus on one thing like there is with certain, I guess, people surrounding with certain K-pop groups or with certain J-pop groups or things like that. And particularly Randytaylor69, which is where you see idol culture kind of coming into the Western world through Randytaylor69's figure and through how idol culture for her has been starting to cultivate. Because actually, if you look at her numbers on Google Trends and if you look at like her interest over time, it's just gone up since she's left online, which is really, really interesting to me. And I can't fully explain it. I don't think anybody can really fully explain it, but it's just such an interesting thing that this figure who just kind of made little like, this is what happened to me today, this is my day, this is me on this topic, blah, blah, blah. How somebody like that could with like very like generic content could create this whole hyper image that so many people find it so important to protect and so important to preserve. So yes, a lot of people have created fan accounts of hers. There was a Tumblr page created that just like people post pictures of her and people keep her image alive and people rewatch her videos and people repost her videos and people discuss her videos, like, and it's just so interesting because it's not an ARG in that it really happened and she was really this girl, and it's just kind of like this hysteria created around her is really interesting. And when you see her fans, like in the one particular video that I saw with my editor, when you see that video, he discusses and he reaches out to one of the fans, and it just seems like there are two kind of areas of fandom surrounding Randytaylor69. There are people who just genuinely really like her and genuinely just like her content a lot and just really believe in what she was doing, so they just want to keep supporting her in that area.
I asked this guy, he's like Russian himself, and there's people from all over, but he was saying that, you know, how basically she's a beautiful girl, and she's just very witty and funny. I mean, she has genuine videos up on her accounts, right? She's witty and funny, they like her personality, and they just like Rose, and, you know, so they just follow her accounts and everything.
And then there is, like, another side to it, like the stalker that she had. I'm sure there are plenty of stalkers that she still has who kind of still watch her content, binge watch her content, will, like, constantly repost about her. And it's just really interesting because it brings up the discussion within online communities and within social media of when does it turn into stalking on social media? With social media having so much of our lives, like, where is that line in the sand drawn between being a really, really big fan, being like just a kind of casual fan, being a idol worshipping somebody, and stalking them? Like, where is the differences between all of that? And so I would like to pass this to my friend and lovely editor of Mystery Monday, Rebecca. She edits all my Mystery Mondays, and she edits all my films, and she's great, and she has her own YouTube channel that you should check out, but she's going to go ahead and go a little bit further into the stalking discussion surrounding Randytaylor69.
Hello there. Okay, so I have a script that I will be reading from, verbatim. So I'm here to answer two questions. Why do we obsess over Randytaylor69? And why do we do it in this way? First, I'll go over the psychology of stalking. There's 7 types of stalking behavior and explanations. And because I'm finding the stalking behavior, like the 7 different types, from a .com site, I'm always a little bit hesitant on the information being shared, but the author claims that they're an actual doctor. So basically take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt. I don't know everything about psychology. I don't know everything about stalking. This is the information I found. My links might not be correct. The information that I'm sharing might not be correct. Again, I'm probably making a lot of assumptions of the people who may be following Randytaylor69 or who have put Randytaylor69 in the position that she is now. So Psychology Today says an estimate of 12 to 16% of women and 4 to 7% of men will be stalked in their lifetime. To me, this seems pretty high, but also maybe my stalker is just really good at hiding. One thing that caught my attention was that the author, Dr. Dale Hartley, said, cyberstalking occurs in about 25% of cases studied, which seems low to me. If my suspicion is correct, the reasons for the low numbers arise from the data collected methodology, the population being studied, and other reasons that I won't digress on here. But it seems likely that cyberstalking is only likely to increase, since the potential for surveillance and harassment is huge while the risk for stalking is relatively small. Former spouses and paramourners are the most common targets of stalking, followed by victims being stalked by their acquaintance. Only about 1 in 4 incidents involve stalking by a stranger. Most stalkers are men. 70 to 80% are reported by various studies, but one specific type of stalking is perpetrated almost exclusively by women. So it makes sense why Randytaylor69 or Rose has such a large audience and why she was stalked in the first place. But when you read out the 7 signs of stalking, you realize just how unique her case is. The first behavioral stalking method is domestic stalking, and that's the most common one. It's when a former partner will stalk you. But it's usually the most dangerous, because especially when it comes to like them invading your workplace, because then that's putting innocent bystanders in danger. The second is lustful stalking, and that's usually perpetrated by serial rapists or just rapists in general. They said the most famous one is Ted Bundy. The third is love scorn stalking, and that's people who were rebuffed by romantic advances from you or another person, and it's when they just stalk you because they love you so much and they just want to be in a relationship and they're angry because you rejected them. It's all miladies ever. Then the subgroup to love scorn stalking is usually women who have the delusional disorder erotomania, which makes them think that the person that they're stalking is madly in love with them. Therefore, they stalk them because they're like, oh, this person loves me so much, I'm allowed to do whatever I want to them because they love me. No. Then there's the celebrity stalker, the political stalker, who could be following a politician either because they dislike or they do like their politics. It's odd. Then the hitman stalker. So it's just someone who's stalking you because they're a hitman for hire. The author added his own category called the revenge stalker, which is usually people who will stalk their work partners or colleagues or someone because they did something bad to them, so they're stalking them purely for their own gain and like for payback. From statistical data, the type of person who is more likely to stalk or have stalking tendencies is a man of any ethnicity or race who is in his 30s to 40s. He's often unemployed or underemployed. He's high school or college educated, and they're usually a bit more intelligent than the average criminal, and they are always delusional. And especially for the women who have erotomania, they're always delusional. Now these stalking, out of the 7 stalking behaviors, the Randy Taylor case just fits the celebrity stalking more, because it's not like the regular stalking where people have personal attachments or personal vendettas against her. But I'd like to say her stalking case isn't an actual stalking case, but I'll get into that later. Celebrity stalking is a thin line between being a fan and between being an addict. If you're a fan, you engage in pro-social behaviors, like joining fan pages, meeting other people who are fans, talking about the group, following people, like being president of the fan club, like, you know, it's normal stuff where you're not obsessive. Now, the addict does everything a fan may do, but does it in a way that can begin an obsessive preoccupation, obsessive and intrusive behaviors, and even violent behaviors. The author states, the vast majority of celebrity stalkers have never met the objective of their obsession. Their relationship is entirely based on either delusion, we're secretly married, or fantasy. If I just met you, you'd realize we were meant to be together. This may be a reflection of the fact that, unlike stalkers who pursue us common folks, the majority of celebrity stalkers tend to suffer from a major mental illness such as schizophrenia or erotomania. Thus, the stalking of a celebrity is typically a behavioral reflection of the distorted thinking that accompanies it. Now, you can see why the Randy Taylor case is still different from a celebrity stalking case. Even though this is the most fitting stalking case, it may not even be a stalking case. Mostly because the behavior isn't destructive. If anything, these people are more like fans. They just want to know her. Like, that's all I ever heard from people who follow these pages, is that they aren't there to hurt her or like to find or dox her like the original person did, or rape her or anything like that. They just want to get to know who this woman is. None of them, except for the initial 4chan doxer, really engaged in delusional obsessive behavior. But the thing is, she isn't really a celebrity. And her presence on the internet that could have made her a celebrity is gone, and it's been gone since 2008 or 2009. For all that we know, Randy Taylor or Rose could be dead. So now that we know celebrity stalking doesn't necessarily fit, let's look at gang stalking. So my source is anonymous, but he also linked his own sources to what he's saying. I mean, I'm just assuming it's a he. He also linked other sources to what he's saying, so I'm assuming that they know what they're talking about. The author says, predatory gang stalking is a criminal phenomenon referring to a group of loosely affiliated people who, in an organized and symptomatic manner, relentlessly invade in all areas of an individual's life on a continuing basis. While each individual gang stalker does his or her small part, what defines predatory stalking is collective intent to do harm. Tactics of predatory gang stalking include highly coordinated surveillance, harassment, psychological, psychosocial, financial, and sometimes physical assault on an individual by a large group of people who are often strangers to the targeted individual. So on the level of organization and coordination, Randy Taylor really fits gang stalking because those people really seem to coordinate in the same type of way of gang stalking. But again, it's not predatory gang stalking because they have no intent to harm. It's really like an investigation for information on this person and to archive whatever work she had done on the internet before everything was deleted after she was doxxed. Everyone just wants to know who or what happened to this girl. So I would look more into celebrity idolization, but the people who stalk her and the behavior of it like really don't fit the mold for celebrity idolization. Like most people are ages 10 to 17 and most are female. They look to celebrities for advice and information, and more importantly, they want to be like them. The people who stalk Rose or Randytaylor69 are usually older men, like in their 20s to 30s, and they don't want to be her. They don't really necessarily look to her for advice. They just want to know her. They just want to interact with her. So Rose's like radio silence on the internet, the biggest element into making her case so unique. So an article I found called 15 Things Men Have Done When They Are Obsessed with a Woman. Reading through these, I didn't think all just applied to just men, but like a couple stood out in particular, one especially, that really reminded me of the Randy Taylor case. So number 14, he spends hours looking at your social media pages and leaves too many comments. The pleasurable feeling that a person gets when spending hours at looking at your social media pages is something that is extremely common. Why do men do it? What is so enticing about social media that gets the adrenaline going? Studies show that men interested in women commonly look at their social media pages to gather insight on what is going on in their life. It doesn't just stop there. They post too many comments on your page on a regular basis. Men might be jealous and want to spy on you and see what is going on. Sometimes men do an investigation on a woman and delve into her background. Once it starts, the person who is doing it is unlikely to stop. Now, a couple other things reminded me of the Randy Taylor case, like acting like your boyfriend, thinking you're perfect, and putting you up on a pedestal, and spies on you whenever he can. Now, with Rose's absence and history being purely online, all of these behaviors are so easily accessible because it's online, and because you can be so anonymous with it. So Randy Taylor's fans, it's really more of an obsessive thing. As this shows, like this is the behavior that these guys show when they follow her. It's obsessive behavior, not necessarily stalking behavior. And we have to remember it all started on 4chan, so I wanted to look at the demographic of people who are on 4chan to see if the demographic fits this stalking, obsessive, delusional mold. So I found Oscar Germain answered this question on the Quora, whatever website that is, but he doesn't have any sources, so his input I really took with a grain of salt, but I think well, at least he implied that he was a 4chan user, so I think he understands the demographic. I'm just going to take it from his point of view, because I'm not going on the website because I'm terrified of hackers. So Germain said, what is 4chan user demographic? Data is extremely difficult to gather due to the nature of the site, so the only source available is somewhat anecdotal and comes directly from user accounts. Unfortunately, we are forced to dive right into the essential stereotypes despite how often they ring true. Demographics for the site vary greatly from board to board. For instance, /K users are likely older, /LGBT users, /R9K users are more likely to be male than /FA users. The average poster is young, 16 to 30 years old male, almost always Western and English speaking, more than likely single and unemployed or working part-time for minimum wage. Maybe fast food or retail, may also be self-employed. These people usually work with computers as programmers or technicians. Rarely working jobs involving idea competition are more often than not affected by some slight/moderate form of social anxiety or other mental illnesses. Drugs such as marijuana and LSD are widely popular among users, so it seems. Again, this depends on the board. Boards like RK9 tend to have very homogeneous user base, and boards like /B lean toward a user base from all walks of life. The average reader has a totally indeterminate and highly heterogeneous origin. 4chan's and /B's especially, notoriety attracts a sea of lurkers every day. Numbers spike after a board participates in some sort of infamous event. In addition, there are many more women using 4chan than the posters would like to think. They usually don't reveal their gender. Why would they? Because it's irrelevant and it will inevitably attract massive amounts of unwanted attention. Every anon is presumed to be male. So it's a site that's heavily masculinized to the point of toxic masculinity, prone to people who don't like making face-to-face social interactions and who would give unwanted attention to any female they would find on the site. Again, it fits the stalking age, the employment status, and the mindset. You can see how someone socially isolated can become delusional to the point where they would want to stalk someone. And if they're sexually frustrated, they could obsess over a person, especially a young woman who's talking to the camera, talking to them. So Randytaylor69 is like the perfect storm of obsessive behavior. And yet, why isn't this a true stalking case? And what makes Randytaylor69 so unique? First of all, people don't stalk her because they want to hurt her, or they want to rape her, or they think that she's in love with them, like any general stalking case, nor do they want to be her, like in a celebrity stalking case. They stalk because they want to know her. Think about it, why are people so interested in this person that we seemingly know so little about? She didn't seem very special, she was just kind of average, but her disappearance from the internet was what kept the obsession alive for so many people. She's kind of become a meme in the same way that, like, finding the true murderer for the JonBenet Ramsey case is a meme. It's a collective obsession over the mystery of what happened to this woman. So I had to ask, why are people drawn to mysteries? In an article called What's America's Obsession with Unsolved Mysteries Can Teach to Marketers, ironically, because we're literally marketing this to you. It states, for many investigators and psychologists, the reason is clear. We love a good story, especially if it leaves us yearning for the end. This is clear in the recent media coverage of the case of JonBenet Ramsey, the 6-year-old pageant girl who was murdered in 1996. Multiple documentaries aired about her unsolved murder, and the story gained incredible popularity in 2016, a full 20 years after her death, proving that our interest in unsolved mysteries never subsides. The challenge of figuring out who did it, why they did it, and how they did it drives us to consume every morsel of information available. We become obsessed with the discovery of the truth behind these mysteries, which hold a key to understanding the cruel world we live in. When we lay our heads on our pillows at night, the mystery haunts us, but peace comes when we find truth in the violence that originally captivated us. So it's really the mystery of what happened to Randytaylor69 was really the cause of the obsession. At least that's my theory. Think about it, there's hundreds and hundreds of pages and people using her photos every day. She's a celebrity, but only in the way that JonBenet kind of became a celebrity because of her mystery of her death. In a way, Randytaylor69 has died because she's no longer here, and the internet is basically where your real life is now. The obsession and the stalking is drawn from our need to finish her story that was so abruptly ended by this 4chan user who doxed her. And with that I say, case closed, boys.
So, from all of this, you see that there's a ton of ways to interpret how Randytaylor69 gains fans, how she kept fans, how people have kind of like hyper projected onto her image, kind of created this like godlike figure out of Randytaylor69. And it's just really interesting. It really opens the door for a lot of, it happened in a time where the internet was still very early and very new, and it's still, I think, very important in terms of internet circles, and I think it opens a very interesting discussion on, like I said before, the whole stalking segment with Rebecca, like, when does it turn from being a fan into being a stalker? Like, where is there a line? Like, what's the difference there? Like, do you guys have some insight onto that? Do you guys have some thoughts on that? Let me know down in the comments down below. I really, really hope you liked this Mystery Monday. It was really, really exciting to research. It was really interesting to research because, like, if you look up Randytaylor69, there's so many people on every single social media site that, like, make accounts for her name in her honor. And I always wonder if she knows, or if she sees, or if she just kind of withdrew from the internet in its entirety. So, you know, Randytaylor69, if you're out there, just get on that, make more content. Just kidding. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this Mystery Monday. I will see you guys next week for I think a more lighthearted Mystery Monday, hopefully. Charlie, you always come home right in the middle of the filming and it's so scary. Here, Charlie, come give a quick thought.
Waited in the
Come
car.
give a quick thought. Come give a quick thought.
I am a quick thought.
Come give a quick thought. You thought?
Okay.
So, Charlie, what's the difference between being a fan and being a stalker?
Being a fan is just, you know, being supportive and enjoying somebody's work, and then being a stalker is when you're trying too hard to become a part of their lives.
I love you.
I love you too.
Wow. Look at that fear in your eyes. So as you can see, it's a really multi-layered, a multi-dimensional like problem / discussion to be had with regards to Randytaylor69's content and what that means for the broader community. And I think in a lot of ways it kind of foreshadowed how Western cultures have been taking on that kind of whole idol culture element. You see it a lot now with people, with figures like, I see it with Shane Dawson, with Jake and Logan Paul, like just the idea that Team 10 fans are fans to such a degree that they will not only kind of attack people who don't agree with or have spoken out against who they are a huge fan of, but that they will show up to the Team 10 house, or that they will wait at the Team 10 house to see them, or they'll stand outside their house and like watch them and like wait for their content creator to come out. Like, I think that's an interesting way culture has kind of expanded. Like, it's almost okay. Like, it's almost culturally reinforced that that's the way you support your fans, which I think is really problematic and really interesting, like different. And I think it's a discussion that we should be having that we aren't having in terms of social media and in terms of the broader online community. Where does being a fan lead into stalking and turn into stalking? Because I think it's starting to become a really big issue. Like, I mean, you see Christina Grimmie, who unfortunately passed away because of this kind of relationship between creator and fan can turn toxic, like it did for Randytaylor69 when she was doxxed, or when Christina Grimmie was unfortunately killed. And so, you know, I hope you enjoyed this Mystery Monday and that discussion. What do you have to say about this kind of discussion on fans and being a fan and how you feel about your idols and all that type of stuff? Let me know down in the comments down below, because I'd love to have a dialogue with you guys about these topics with Mystery Monday, because I think mysteries are really interesting, and I think they say a lot about our society, especially internet mysteries and creepy online mysteries and all that type of thing. So thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of Mystery Monday. Yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Like, how do you feel about Randytaylor69? Are you a fan of Randytaylor69? Did you watch her content? Did you see this unfold? How do you think her fan base is? I think for the most part it's a healthy fan base that just really wants to support a creator. But I do think that lines were crossed in certain areas. Like, obviously, like, you shouldn't dox people. You shouldn't dox, like, just random people on the internet that you're a fan of. Like, that's so weird. But I will see you guys next week, and goodbye!